Edwin Sifuna goes for a funeral in Muranga and he talks about what happened in 2022.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, wewe Junet ulifanya this and the other.
Yeah.
And it's reported on social media.
Yeah.
And Mother Karua, through her ex account, says, say it louder.
Yeah.
Say
Let's say
louder,
we
Mother?
all want to hear. Spill the beans. Yeah.
Say it louder. Is it spill the beans or I co-sign? I agree with what you're saying.
No, say it louder. Yeah, so that we all hear. I mean,
Okay, but do you agree with
are
what you
these
said?
confessions? I do not say that I know the origin of his whatever. But I know that Junet was entrusted by Baba with all things money. So I'm also interested to hear. Say more. Yeah. Yeah. One has a notion that things did not go right, but we've never dug to know what happened. So anybody with information, let them spill it.
Okay, but you were there.
I was there. I wasn't in the room where they were doing the agents. All I know is that Baba entrusted literally almost everything to Junet. Yeah.
Yesterday we had Saitabao Ole Kanchori, Baba's chief agent, and he said more or less the same thing as Edwin Sifuna. That he had agents across the country, more than almost 120,000, he said, and the lists kept changing over time. From a principal's perspective, how involved were you and Baba with things like agents? Or was it Saitabao and Junet entirely?
You know, being chief agent doesn't make you in charge of everything. And no candidate at a national level, at a constituency level, you can be in charge of all your agents. And maybe even at a county, you can try. But at the national level, you can't. You have to entrust it to others. I cannot tell you that I checked exactly what was happening, but we were assured everything was happening okay. But I know I received calls the last 2 days from many corners of the country by candidates very angry, saying that their list of agents had been trashed and instead other people had been put in. And you know, for agents, a candidate is key. So we were trying to get the candidates to be reinstated. And apparently it was not, even OP had some involvement. So you find in some places the lists are given by the chiefs, which chiefs had already migrated to a certain other side. So when you start hearing that there were stations where Azimio did not have agents, it meant that they had force, if you like, agents procured by people masquerading as neutral but who were already on the other side. So something wrong went on. Yeah, it's not something that we ever sat down to try and see how not to repeat. You remember we started demonstrations relating to the server almost immediately. So I'm as interested as any other Kenyan to hear. And that's the encouragement to anyone with information. Say it louder, we would like to hear.
Were there any internal failures that you started to realize, either early on or towards the end, and then maybe perhaps in hindsight didn't sound the alarm soon enough? So what internal failures began to show? I
cannot tell you what, because I came in 2.5 months to the elections. I was completely deployed, overstretched on the campaigns, because I was required to do everything the mountain and still show up in other places. Because there are places Baba would go, even in Nyanza, and they'll be asking, where is she? So you find I'm flying to a place in Mount Kenya and flying the same day somewhere else to do the campaign. It wasn't possible to sit and do the planning. But you raise questions, have we taken care of this? And the box will be ticked. So in hindsight, we know that there are things that didn't go well. Yeah. And this time, I'm in early to ensure that whatever lapses were there do not occur. I'm in early for myself, because first you go for yourself. And this is the year that we must show up as candidate to make the menu for potential candidates enriched, so that later there can be a selection of the candidates. And then Bomas. Let's go to Bomas immediately. How do you tally for 7 days? You are manipulating. Every polling station has 700 voters and below. Some as low as 300, but let's take the average of 7. Counting must be within an hour or less. Tallying for that particular polling station, even if you give the whole process 2 hours, polling stations close at 6. By 9, counting should be done everywhere in the country. By 10, 11, we should be in the constituencies, which is the last place because there is no tallying at the county. When you relate to the national, by midnight or slightly before, we should know who is president. When you tally for 7 days, just because it is said, and I do not know how we wrote 7 days, when you do that way, you are giving room for manipulations, and hence the allegation of uploading, deleting, and re-uploading. There is no way. If you're an honest IEBC, you can tally the results for more than one night. I observed the last elections of Senegal that brought Sonko and Jumaye Faye. By 11 o'clock, there was a carnival in the streets of Dakar and everywhere else, because people had tallied and whatever, and they already knew who are the winners. And why does the IEBC root for opacity when the Constitution clearly says that everything must be transparent and accountable? And what do I mean rooting for opacity? The Chebukati Commission had warned that you must not, even after it is tallied, you don't announce, it's the IEBC that will announce. There is no such law. And I would remind people that in 2002, when NARC dethroned Kanu, the Constitution was not in place. But yet, because transparency is a fundamental in good governance, people were announcing, texting, the media was announcing, polling station, constituency, once they are signed by the presiding officer, not before. And you know the law says you must put it on the door. The media would announce. And media stations were tallying. If you remember in 2022, the media feared. Only Citizen dared to give their tally. Everybody else, the Nation, the Standard, withheld. Because the IEBC had that caveat. Why do we as a people listen to something which is obviously illegal? The reason why it must be open and the tallies must be known countrywide is to avoid manipulation. Because if it's being announced, I have a pen and paper, I'll be tallying. And we can declare for ourselves. And that is what happens.
It's transparency.
So to stop these incidences, my call to us as Kenyans, we must shout the tally wherever it occurs. We must shout the results. And the media must, again, assume its position like it did in the 2002 elections. Collectively, we can stop manipulation of elections and also highlighting irregularities. Like now where they say in Bere the place was totally inaccessible. We needed highlighting by the media. The media did highlight in Malaba. The burning of the destruction of the hotel, burning of cars, many incidents. If the media does not capture those, then there will be mayhem. So the media's highlighting does help a lot in getting things to run normally, even on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.